By decree of the Galactic Council, effective immediately, all humans are forbidden from leaving the gravity well of Earth. No exceptions.
The chamber erupted in a mix of shock and approval. But the decision was already sealed. Half a galaxy away, a retired pilot named Ray Doyle watched the broadcast on a dusty hangar monitor.
Well, Linda, guess the galaxy's afraid of us now. Same as the rest.
The Daisy, an old freighter with mismatched hull plates and oversized engines, sat waiting in the dawn light.
A few jars of strawberries, some apricot, ought to cover a fill-up.
He had spent the night loading supplies, ignoring the government advisories that echoed on every channel. The ban just another warning he refused to heed.
You always said the galaxy needed a little more kindness. I'll start with jam.
The Daisy's engines ignited with a deep hum, cyan glow pushing the freighter off the grass and into a steep climb.
All right, Daisy. Let's show them what an old bush pilot can do.
The Daisy pierced the upper atmosphere, the sky fading from blue to black, stars sharpening as the ship hurtled toward the blockade.
Look at the size of those dreadnoughts, like waiting sharks.
His old sensor suite pinged as it analyzed the patrol pattern, a 6-second gap between sweeps where the overlapping fields thinned to nothing.
6 seconds. Just like spotting a break in a river current. Gotta be exact.
He pushed the throttle to full, the engines screaming cyan, and aimed for the pinpoint opening. The Daisy shot between the two monolithic ships, their hulls so close the proximity alerts shrieked. But he held the line. Plasma contrails curled behind, a bright ribbon marking his path through the gap. On the lead dreadnought, a junior officer frowned at a fleeting sensor ghost, anomalous, fast, but gone before an alert could lock.
Ha! And they said retired means obsolete.
He plotted the first jump, the navigation computer humming as the Daisy slipped into hyperspace, leaving Earth far behind. The Daisy dropped out of hyperspace near a small way station built into an asteroid, its docking bays lit by purple neon.
Nobody here knows a human from a Grexian cook. Time to stretch my legs.
He landed and walked through the bustling market, the wooden crate of jam jars tucked under his arm like a treasure.
Excuse me, ma'am. You look like you are fighting a losing battle with that compressor.
This bolt is rusted solid, and my old joints just can't get the leverage. I'd be grateful for a fresh pair of hands.
Ray set down the crate and followed her to a repair bay. Within minutes, his calloused hands found the trick, a sharp tap, and the bolt spun free. Meanwhile, a misconfigured comms panel on the Daisy began streaming the repair bay audio and video to the station's local network, unnoticed by either of them.
Here, try this. Strawberry jam, homemade by my late wife's recipe. Goes well with engine grease.
You are human, but I saw the council decree. They said your kind is violent and dangerous.
Ray just shrugged, and they shared a pot of bitter tea while the hauler's engine hummed back to life. On the comms monitor, a tiny viewer count flickered to 47 and began climbing. Within hours, the repair bay footage leaked beyond the station, picked up by local networks hungry for anything novel. In a family hub, an alien child of the tentacled Yorgal tapped the screen, whispering, "The human fixed it with just a hammer." The clip looped across school feeds and entertainment channels. The phrase "Ray the Fixer" spreading like a gentle virus. Half a galaxy away, Chancellor Voron read the intelligence brief with a face of cold stone.
One human breached the blockade, and nobody stopped him. This flaunting of our decree is an insult I will not tolerate.
He activated the tactical display in the council chamber and dispatched 2 intercept frigates with a single command: capture the human. Unaware of the distant alarm, Ray said goodbye to Mira, accepting a packet of her homegrown tea, then climbed back into the Daisy.
Next stop's a little farming moon I heard about. They might need a hand with irrigation.
The Daisy hummed into hyperspace, a fresh cup of Mira's tea beside the pilot, as 2 silent warships locked onto the fading ion trail. The Daisy decanted into real space above a rolling green moon, Irrigation canals glinting in the twin suns. Ray sat down in a pasture and noticed the comms light blinking. The accidental broadcast from the station was still live, now feeding to thousands.
Didn't mean to start a show, but maybe that's what they need to see. Just someone fixing things. My wife, Linda, used to say a kind gesture is a thread that stitches the universe closer.
On a distant mining world, a Threxan family huddled around a screen, the father wiping tears as Ray's gentle voice filled their home. The clip was captured, subtitled in 60 languages, and shared across 8 sectors within hours. By the time Ray started walking toward the nearest farm, the viewer count had passed 200,000 and was accelerating. The phrase, Ray's kindness, topped interspecies social feeds, bumping political scandals and sports scores.
Daisy, maybe we're doing more good than I ever did on Earth.
Behind him, 2 council frigates curved through the jump point, their sensors locked on the Daisy's signature. The Daisy touched down beside silver grain fields. A towering insectoid farmer clicked its mandibles, pointing urgently to a seized irrigation pump.
That pump's older than me, friend. I've got a spare bearing that might fit. Give me 5 minutes.
He knelt in the dust, threading the bearing with practiced ease, his voice carrying through the open channel as he explained each step. Aboard the lead frigate, Commander Zarn pulled up the human's file, then froze, seeing a crude crayon drawing of Ray the Fixer pinged from his own daughter's tablet.
She talks about him every evening. To her, he's a hero, not a target.
The 2 frigates dropped out of hyperspace directly above the farming moon, weapons primed per council directive. Ray's sensor squealed a warning. He clapped the farmer on the thorax, then sprinted for the Daisy as the irrigation pump hummed to life. The freighter lifted off, grain husks swirling in cyan engine wash as the warships locked their tractor beams.
Hold fire. Reacquire target. We have a sensor ghost.
The delay lasted only seconds, long enough for the Daisy to punch into hyperspace, leaving Zarn alone with his daughter's drawing and a fractured order. The Daisy nestled among the asteroids, its hull merging with the cold stone to evade the searching frigates.
They'll be back. Need a few hours for the trail to go cold.
He shut down all non-essential systems, then pulled a worn envelope from beneath Linda's photograph.
Ray, if you ever read this, remember the galaxy doesn't need conquerors. It needs gardeners. Love always, Linda.
His voice cracked, but he kept the channel open, and the words traveled to every world that tuned in. In the council chamber, Voran broke the emergency session seal, projecting Ray's audience data like a crime scene.
Look at these numbers. He is not a fugitive. He is a movement, and movements must be crushed before they seed.
A delegate from the Y3 hegemony rose, tentacles trembling. He is only a repairman. Why treat him as a threat?
Because a repairman who makes millions love him is more dangerous than any armada.
The emergency debate continued into the night, but no consensus emerged. Only the growing shadow of a decision Voran had already made.
I have signed the directive. Lethal force is now authorized. End this delay.
Commander Zarn stared at the updated directive, the word lethal pulsing like a wound on his console.
She calls him a gardener. I have orders to burn the garden.
Ray, unaware of the new orders, set course for Zephyr Moon, where refugee camps overflowed with displaced families.
I've got protein packs, water filters, and a few toys. Should help a little.
The Daisy set down among the tents, and Ray spent the afternoon distributing supplies under the red sun.
Here, take what you need, no charge. When you rebuild, just plant something green.
A Threxan mother clutched his sleeve. The council said you are a threat. You are a gift. Ray's eyes glistened. Then the camp alarm screamed. The sensor board showed 3 warships entering the atmosphere. Target lock confirmed. Ray bolted for the Daisy, engines spooling. As he broke through the dust, Zarn's voice boomed, "Power down or we will fire." Ray pushed the throttle to the stops, slewing the Daisy through a gap in the canyon wall. The warship's targeting array wavered, and he punched into hyperspace alone.
He had the shot. He didn't take it. Maybe this gardener idea is spreading.
Meanwhile, the ray wildfire consumed the galaxy. In 17 worlds, newborns were registered with his name, and schoolyards echoed with, "I am a ray." News networks ran continuous segments. The human who fixed things. Polls showed approval ratings Voren could only envy.
He is an outlaw, not a deity. I will not let a single human make this council irrelevant.
In the night cycle, Voren drafted a sealed directive, a public execution order for Raymond Doyle, to be carried out at the council square. By dawn, the full intercept fleet, 12 cruisers, 2 carriers, spooled up behind a classified jump coordinate.
You are sure? 12 cruisers? For one old man with jam? All this steel for me? Linda, you'd say I am causing too much trouble. But I can't stop now. They're still watching.
He keyed the open channel, his voice steady, the galaxy's collective ear leaning in from 100 busy stations. Before he could speak, an encrypted message blinked onto his console, a trader at the station bar, scared, passing on what she'd overheard. "Ray, they've signed a public execution order. The whole fleet is moving. Run, you fool."
Running won't end this. Only 4 words can. I am not afraid.
He walked to the cargo hold and arranged a single light behind the camera, a few jam jars stacked beside a worn blanket, stitched by Linda.
If this is the last thing I say, let it be this. My wife taught me that the tiniest seed of kindness can crack the hardest ground. I planted that seed on every world I visited. I've seen it bloom in 17 languages. That's a legacy no execution can uproot. I am just Raymond Doyle. I am not a warrior. I am a gardener, and my earth is the stars.
He cut the feed and returned to the cockpit, laying in a course directly for the intercept fleet's last known position. He keyed the entire message to transmit on all open frequencies, then pushed the throttle forward. The Daisy leapt toward the gallows. Across every world, screens flickered, then held Ray's face. The fleet loomed ahead, but a billion hearts beat with his. Within a single cycle, the sealed execution order leaked from the Council's own data stacks, an anonymous whistle, a desperate conscience. Spontaneous marches erupted on 200 worlds, banners carrying the words, "The Gardener," in 1,000 scripts.
Who leaked this? I want the traitor found. The order stands, double the guard.
But even Voren's voice shook. The crowds were not rioting for a symbol, but for a man they had welcomed into their homes.
They're not throwing stones, they're holding candles. I never expected this. All right, Linda. I'll give them peace, not a martyr's fire.
He opened the comms one more time, his face weary but tender.
Whatever happens, don't let my name be used for hatred. That's all I ask.
The protests swelled, but the council chamber fell into a terrified silence. The execution was still scheduled for dawn. The Daisy kept flying, a tiny speck of rust and cyan against the Armada's wall of steel. The Armada's ring closed tight, tractor beams latching onto the Daisy's rusted hull with a shudder.
This is Commander Zarn. Shut down your drives and exit your vessel. You have my word. There will be no firing.
I'll come quiet, Commander. But let the feed run. That's all I ask.
Granted. The feed stays on.
In the cockpit, Ray raised his calloused hands, palms open, and the camera captured the moment, steady and unafraid. When they searched the cockpit, they found no weapons, just a tea packet, a nearly empty jam jar, and a worn photograph. They led him across the docking tube, the broadcast tracking every slow shuffle of his feet.
Linda, it's working. Can you see it from wherever you are?
Across hundreds of worlds, families watched in stunned silence as the energy shackles clicked around his weathered, outstretched wrists. The feed continued, the green light unwavering, as the Daisy was towed into the flagship's cavernous bay, its camera still broadcasting. The shuttle descended into the capital, and Ray was marched through the grand processional, energy shackles humming, the broadcast still following every step.
That man fixed my hauler for a jar of jam. He asked for nothing but my smile.
Her voice sliced through the tension. And for a moment, the guards hesitated, the footage sent raw across every network.
These are the orders of my council, but my daughter sleeps with a drawing of that man under her pillow.
He pushed the drawing aside and opened the execution order again, its crimson seal glaring.
The execution of Raymond Doyle will commence at first light. Let the galaxy witness the consequence of defiance.
The chamber feed showed the timer. 2 hours, 59 minutes. The galaxy watched it tick down. They locked him in a cell with a narrow window facing the stars. Ray sat on the bench, folding his hands, a faint smile on his lips. Outside, the square filled to bursting with candles and signs. The chant, "Gardner," rising in 100 languages. The countdown pressed toward 0. The galaxy holding its breath, as one old man sat in the dark and whispered something only his late wife would have remembered. On Earth, a sleepy morning broadcast was interrupted by grainy footage, a human in energy shackles. The word execution, flashing in alien script, in a conference room. Officials stared at the screen. "Who is this?" One whispered, "He is ours." Another answered, and the silence that followed was heavy. The official statement was brief. Earth was unaware of this individual's actions and cannot intervene. We disclaim any involvement.
So Earth doesn't know me. Neither did Linda at first. She still chose me. If this is where the road ends, I am glad I took it. A gardener's work is never wasted.
Outside, the crowd swelled beyond any estimate. Over 1 million bodies. A sea of candlelight and chanting pressing against the strained barricades. The first light of dawn touched the spires, and a sound like a planetary keening rose from the square. A cry of grief and demand. The cell door clanked open. Ray stood, smoothing his worn jacket, and stepped into the corridor without a backward glance. They led him through stone passages, the distant roar growing louder with every step. As he emerged into the square, the roar hit him like a physical wave. The gardener was coming to meet his fate. Guards flanked Ray as he walked the long path to the black platform, his steps steady, the crowd's roar parting around him like water. He climbed the steps without hesitation, and the energy shackles were locked into the execution ring as the council took their observing seats above. A robed executioner moved to the control pillar, the device's hum rising to a warning pitch.
Look at them. So many faces I'll never meet. That's all right. They already know me.
The crowd's chant fractured, individual screams of no, piercing the hum as the executioner raised a clawed hand over the final switch. A wave of bodies hit the first barricade, the steel groaning, guards shouting as the line buckled.
Restore order. The sentence is law.
The barricade snapped. Protesters spilled into the no-go zone, a flood of bodies and banners sweeping toward the platform steps. Ray locked eyes with the nearest guard, a young reptilian with trembling hands, and nodded, slow and gentle. The executioner's hand hovered, trembling above the switch, as the first protesters reached the platform and threw themselves at the guards. The guards were swept aside, the flood pouring up the platform steps in a wave of desperate hope. Commander Zarn shoved through the chaos, stopping at the dais base where Vorin raged.
I will not let my child grow up in a galaxy that executes gardeners. This order is void.
The executioner's clawed hand withdrew from the switch, the device's hum faltering.
You dare defy this council? Your clan will pay for this betrayal.
A gray-furred delegate rose, his voice cutting. Call the vote. No more blood on this council's hands. The energy ring died, the executioner stepping back as the roar shifted from terror to triumph.
Grief watered the seed. Now watch it bloom.
The crowd stilled, breathing as one, chants softening to weeping and laughter. Zarn unclipped his rank badge and let it fall, the metal clattering unheard in the din. Vorin raised his voice above the weeping, desperate to reclaim the silence he'd lost.
This council will not be dictated by a mob. The decree of isolation must stand.
The crowd's answer was a rising chant, "Free the gardener," the words shaking the ancient stones. A trembling delegate approached the podium, a motion to revoke the human ban flashing on every screen. Motion number 792. Review and permanently overturn the human quarantine decree, effective immediately. The chant crescendoed. Gardener, echoing off the spires, a single word that had become a verdict. Voron's shoulders slumped. The other delegates began rising, their votes already clear in their eyes. The procedural gavel fell, and an emergency vote was declared, beamed live to every world.
It's not about me anymore. It's about what we choose to be.
The galaxy held its breath as the first delegate's hand moved to the panel, the tally hovering at 0. The first hand touched the panel, and the tally surged. 98 in favor, 2 opposed. The execution was void. The chamber rose in a wave of sound, delegates embracing as Vorin turned away. The execution ring's hum dying to silence. Ray stood motionless as the annulment code flashed across every screen, a garden of green lights blooming in the dark.
I gave you my word. Now I give you your freedom.
Zarn bent and released the shackles, the energy bonds dissolving with a soft hiss, the metal falling away like autumn leaves.
It was never about the shackles, Commander. It was about what we carry inside.
The square erupted, not in riot but in jubilation, the chant shifting to Ray. Ray, in 10,000 voices. Confetti and light blossoms filled the air as the galaxy celebrated not a victory over the Council, but the victory of one gentle act that had sparked a billion more. A formal review of the human ban was announced. The first step in a process the galaxy now demanded.
We planted a seed, Linda. Now the galaxy will water it.
The celebration still swirled, confetti drifting when a priority signal cut through the noise. An official Earth communique. The Earth administration has no record of authorizing Raymond Doyle's departure. We disclaim any involvement in his mission. On Earth, officials watched the galaxy celebrate a man they had forgotten, their faces a mixture of shame and wonder.
Earth didn't send me. Neither did I need its permission. I just followed Linda's thread.
The crowd's roar softened to a murmur, then rose again in a deeper, more sacred cheer.
So it was never a nation. It was never a fleet. It was one man with a jar of jam.
Across 1,000 worlds, the realization crystallized. Softness had conquered where steel never could. The twist was complete. Humanity's worth had not been proved by warships, but by an old man who simply fixed things.
This is what you meant, Linda. A gardener doesn't need a kingdom, just a patch of dirt and a little care.
The review of the ban was now a formality. The galaxy had already opened its arms. The council reconvened within the hour, and the vote was unanimous. The human quarantine decree was abolished forever. The words flashed across every screen. Humanity's penance is lifted. The stars are open again.
So this is what it feels like to see the gate you opened. Stay open, Linda. We did it.
The galaxy celebrated as one, not with parades of warships, but with gardens planted, tools shared, and children named Ray. A shooting star arced across the capital sky, a silent ribbon that seemed to stitch the galaxy closer.
A gardener doesn't ask for thanks. Just a patch of dirt and a little care.
The Daisy, freshly repaired by alien hands, waited on the landing pad, its hull bearing a new plaque. The gardener's vessel.
Time to take you home, old girl. Back to the garden where it started.
As the freighter lifted off, the crowd below waved not in farewell, but in recognition. The gardener was going home to tend another patch of earth. The ban was gone. Humanity's place among the stars had been rewritten not by conquest, but by one old man with a jam jar and a grieving heart. The daisy settled onto the familiar grass of the New Zealand airfield, the morning sun catching the new plaque on its hull. He flicked on the old hangar lights and found his console blinking with a cascade of alien thanks.
Mira sent her tea recipe. She says the hauler's still running.
One message stood out. My daughter named her garden after you. Zarn. The news feed cut to the first human launch in months, a civilian freighter ascending to the stars, the blockade dreadnoughts gone.
They're finally going to see what's out there.
He switched off the feed and stepped outside, the air cool and heavy with dew.
The gates open. Now it's their turn to plant something.
A distant contrail traced upward, the first of many, and Ray watched it until it was just a star. Ray climbed the hill above the airfield, the ocean spreading before him, and sat in the long grass as the sun dipped low.
We did it, Linda. The galaxy knows us now. Not our weapons, our heart.
A shooting star etched a silver thread across the darkening sky. Silent witness.
You always said the stars needed gardeners. I hope they remember.
He kissed the cool frame and rested it on his knee, the photograph now facing the infinite horizon. The sun settled into the sea, the world holding its breath.
Thank you for teaching me to plant instead of fight.
Another star shot past, brighter, and the sky seemed to lean closer, as if listening. Ray closed his eyes, a smile settling on his weathered face. The distant sound of waves carrying him home. The screen fades slowly to black, his peaceful face the last light.